There's something deeply uncomfortable about investigating a mystery where everybody lies. Not just one person, not just the obvious suspect, everyone. In the Séance of Blake Manor, Detective Declan Ward enters a remote manor to investigate the disappearance of Evelyn Dean. The setup sounds like a traditional mystery. A group of suspicious people, a secluded location, a seance, and a disappearance that nobody can properly explain. But as the investigation continues, the mystery begins to feel less like a search for a criminal and more like an examination of human behavior. Because every person at Blake Manor is hiding something. Not necessarily because they are evil, not necessarily because they are guilty, but because every person has a reason to lie. And that is what makes the game so interesting. The Séance of Blake Manor understands that deception is rarely random. People lie because they are afraid. They lie because they are ashamed. They lie because the truth threatens the person they believe themselves to be. And the more Declan investigates, the more the game asks a very simple question. I am Existential Thinker, and if everybody is lying, what does a lie actually mean?
I'll waste no time, as there's none for wasting. I write from Blake Manor in Connemara. Yesterday a guest went missing. A young woman named Evelyn Dean. Everyone here carries on as if nothing has happened. She has not left. Of that I am sure.
The structure of the Séance of Blake Manor immediately creates suspicion. A woman has disappeared. The investigation takes place inside a confined environment. And Declan must question people who all have their own secrets and personal histories. The natural response is to look for the liar. Who is acting strangely? Who is hiding information? Who is contradicting themselves? Who seems nervous? But the game gradually complicates this way of thinking, because a lie does not automatically mean guilt. And this is where the mystery becomes much more interesting. Someone may lie because they committed a crime, but someone else may lie because they are protecting another person. Someone may hide information because they are ashamed. Someone may simply refuse to tell the truth because they do not trust Declan. And suddenly, suspicion becomes much more complicated. The game is not simply asking who is lying. It is asking, why are they lying? And that distinction changes the entire investigation, because a lie is no longer just evidence. It becomes a clue to a person's psychology.
Evelyn Dean, daughter of the slumlord, Rupert Dean. I wonder if my employer hired me because they knew my past with her father. Or maybe they don't know of her father's involvement in my brother's death. I suppose that too will become clear in time.
One of the most interesting ideas in Blake Manor is the way its characters construct identities. Everyone at the manor presents a version of themselves. The respectable person, the intellectual, the mysterious outsider, the wealthy guest, the spiritualist. These identities are carefully maintained, but the investigation gradually creates cracks in those performances. Declan discovers information that contradicts what people claim to be. And this is where the game begins to feel almost like a psychological horror story. The horror is not necessarily the supernatural. The horror is being seen. Declan is constantly invading people's private lives. He examines rooms, studies objects, listens to conversations, collects evidence, and then uses what he discovers to confront people with their own secrets. He is dismantling the identities they have constructed, and the uncomfortable part is that he is often justified. Someone has disappeared. He needs answers. But the more Declan investigates, the more he begins to resemble the people he is questioning. Because Declan also controls what he reveals. He also decides what information other people are allowed to know. He is not outside the system of deception. He is simply better at using it.
Mrs. Erickson intends on murdering Evelyn Dean to eat her heart and steal her magical abilities. I must confront her before it's too late.
The game becomes particularly interesting when it explores why people lie about themselves. There's a major difference between hiding a crime and hiding a truth about your identity. A criminal lies to avoid punishment, but a person may also lie because the truth would destroy the image they have built of themselves. And the Séance of Blake Manor is deeply interested in that kind of deception. The characters are not simply hiding information, they are protecting their identities. They have created stories about themselves, and sometimes those stories are more important to them than the truth. This is why the investigation feels so personal. Declan is not merely collecting facts, he is dismantling the narratives that these people have built. Every clue creates a contradiction, and every contradiction forces a confrontation, and every confrontation reveals that the person standing in front of him is more complicated than their public image. The mystery becomes a study of the difference between who people are and who they want to be.
More than that, evidently. We were just talking about this grand seance, and I'm trying to understand what it is that makes it so grand. All seances are used to speak to ghosts. Is that not the entire point of them? So, wherein lies the distinction? Surely, if Miss Mantovani has held a seance before, then she has also made a ghost talk before.
The supernatural setting makes this theme even more effective. The characters have gathered for a seance. They are interested in the dead, the unknown, the possibility of communicating with someone beyond the physical world. The entire atmosphere is built around the idea of uncovering hidden truths. But the irony is that the people at Blake Manor are incapable of being honest with one another. Everyone wants to speak to the dead. Nobody wants to speak openly to the living. And I think this is one of the game's most interesting contrasts. The seance promises to reveal what lies beyond the world, but Declan's investigation reveals what people are hiding within this one. The supernatural creates mystery, but human behavior creates the real uncertainty. Because ghosts may be difficult to understand, but people are often even worse.
Shush! Not so loudly! Oh, but look at me. I don't want things to be like this. I feel awful doing this to Victoria. As long as Miss Dean has her evidence, we are not safe. We'll be ruined if she decides to share it.
As Declan investigates, information becomes a form of power. Every secret he discovers changes his relationship with the character. Someone who initially seemed suspicious may become sympathetic. A harmless-looking character may suddenly appear much more disturbing. A seemingly insignificant lie may reveal something deeply painful. And the more Declan learns, the more morally complicated the investigation becomes. Because knowledge is not neutral. Once you know someone's secret, you have power over them. You can confront them, expose them, manipulate them, or choose to protect them. And this is where Blake Manor becomes more than a simple detective story. It asks what a detective is actually supposed to do with the truth. Is the truth always something that should be revealed? Or are these secrets that exist for a reason? This is an especially interesting question in a mystery game, because the player is naturally encouraged to uncover everything. We want the full story. We want every piece of information. We want the complete answer. But the game makes us question whether knowing everything is necessarily a good thing. Sometimes the truth doesn't solve a problem. Sometimes it simply gives you a better understanding of the damage.
You have been what stands on the brink of life and death, shining down on me. You are the thing that I've seen, the light. You have been what I couldn't reach. But now, I can see you. I can see you.
This is ultimately why I think the idea that everybody lies for a reason is so central to the Séance of Blake Manor. The reason may be selfish, it may be noble, it may be pathetic, it may even be understandable, but it's always connected to something. Fear, shame, grief, desire, identity. The characters are not lying simply because the game needs to create suspicious suspects. They're lying because people are complicated, and this is what makes the mystery so compelling. The important question is never simply who is lying. The more important question is, what are they afraid will happen if they tell the truth? That question transforms the investigation. A lie becomes a window into a character. It shows you what they value, but more importantly, it shows you what they are desperate to protect. A reputation, a relationship, a secret, or their own understanding of themselves.
I know about the tarot reading that you received, and I know how you interpreted it. But there is another way to interpret it. Instead of sacrificing your life, your remaining time, sacrifice your money. You have so much wealth, so many connections. You could really do some good with the time you have left.
What makes this theme especially interesting is that the investigation gradually becomes a study of identity. Every person has a public version of themselves, the person they present to the world. But beneath that is a private version, the version they hide. And then there is perhaps a third version, the person they are afraid they might actually be. The game constantly plays with these different identities. Declan investigates people by looking for contradictions. But contradictions are not always evidence that someone is evil. Sometimes they simply prove that a person is human. People can be kind and selfish, honest and deceptive, brave and afraid. The characters at Blake Manor are not necessarily lying because they are secretly monsters. They're lying because their identities are complicated. And that makes the mystery more difficult, because the truth is rarely as simple as discovering that someone was lying. The truth is discovering what their lie was protecting.
Focus, child! No, I am. You've just lost me. A master key! Surely the staff has one for the bedrooms. No, we have 5 different ones. Hunter's is in the stable, mine... Sorry, that was strange. It was as if... What were we talking about?
The most fascinating thing about the Séance of Blake Manor is that it treats mystery as a study of human behavior. The disappearance is the central question. The Séance creates the supernatural atmosphere. But the real story is found in the secrets of the people gathered inside the manor. Everyone is hiding something, and the more Declan investigates, the more he realizes that deception is not limited to criminals. People lie to protect their reputations, their relationships, their memories, their sense of self. And sometimes they lie because the truth is simply too painful to live with. And that is why the Séance of Blake Manor works so well as a mystery, because the game understands that the most suspicious person in the room is not necessarily the guilty one. They might simply be the person with the most to lose, and perhaps that is the most unsettling truth the game offers. Everybody lies for a reason. The real mystery is discovering what that reason is. Humanity has always been the pinnacle of evolution, but Parasite Eve shows us that evolution threatens our entire existence. I am Existential Thinker, thanks for watching.